Sasiem, see Sasiem, see Sasiem, see Sasiem. Yetch cow high, yetch cow high, yetch cow high, yetch cow high. Hi, this is Kylie Chris Sutton.
Hi, I'm Sharla Hardin.
Welcome to the Spirit Drum. Tonight, on our inaugural voyage, we have one of the greatest personalities in the world. You may know him from the paranormal, from Ghost Hunters International and Ghost Hunters, Mr. Dustin Pari. However, we're here tonight to explore the spiritual side of Dustin, the inspirational side of Dustin. And this is what our show is about. It's about being inspiring and being spiritual and talking about these things. So folks out there listening can hear for yourselves how other people are walking their path and how we're going about being spiritual and helping other people. And maybe this will be helpful for you too.
Absolutely. So thanks for joining us, and we're looking forward to a great show with Dustin.
That's right. Like I said, Dustin and I, we go back a few years, and there are things that happen in life that are meant to be, and it sounds really corny. I know it does. There's a book called The Celestine Prophecy. Yeah, I know. And if you know me, I'm like that. That's not my flowery phrases are not really for me. But there was a book out there called The Celestine Prophecy, and one of the insights for that book was that sometimes you come across people and you feel like you either know them or you're going to learn something from them or you have something to teach them. Right. Or that you need to be, there's a reason for you to be together and to know each other. So, gosh, was it 4 years ago? They had an impromptu Scarefest convention up in Springfield, Illinois. Now, I live down by St. Louis, and so it was a short trip. And I had been to the Scarefest before, and that's usually held in Lexington, Kentucky. But they were filming something, and they got some people together in a hurry. It was Dustin, some other vendors and things like that, a couple other friends, they were friends of the Scarefest, and they had this little impromptu thing. And so Julie and I drove up there. And so we get there, we get to the place, and they have to sign this thing saying, if you get photographed, it's, that you got to be okay with that. But, okay. So we walk in, and the standard release and things like that. And so I walk in there, and we're walking around. There's hardly anybody there. And I look over, and there's Dustin. And, and I was not a huge paranormal TV show fan at the time. And I knew who he was, and I knew he was on Ghost Hunters International. I just hadn't watched it very much. But he's standing there, and I can't believe nobody's talking to him. So I look at Julie, and she looks at me, and I said, let's go talk to Dustin Pari. So we start talking to each other, and we realize that, hey, we're very similar. I'm expecting a paranormal conversation, and then we get into like spiritual type of stuff. And ever since then, we talk to each other whenever we can. We can get together and things like that. And it always comes down, we start talking about spirituality and things like that. And even though Dustin and I are different sides of the street as far as what our paths are, which is, as you'll see, everybody will see here in a few minutes, that's no big deal. Because as long as we all walk in peace, it doesn't matter, what path we follow. As long as we help other people and hold our hands out to other people and try to inspire other people, it doesn't matter. That's right. It's about who you are. It's about what you do. So,
and I think it's also about bringing people into your life that are a consistent source of inspiration as well. We oftentimes, I think, fall into certain patterns. And I know for myself, when I see friends like you and Dustin are friends, and when we get together, it reignites that spark inside of me. Mm-hmm. That puts me back into that happy place or that inspirational zone. So it's important to have friends like that.
It is. And we didn't announce this at the beginning of the show, but I'm a shamanic practitioner, and I'm also a spiritual guide and things like that. So it's part of my life walk is to help people. And Sharla, you're a life coach. Mm-hmm. And so this, it's the same thing. That's what you're doing. And this is what our friend Dustin is doing as well. And so without any further ado, let's bring him on.
Let's bring him on. Welcome, Dustin.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Hey, buddy. It's good to see you.
Good to see you, Coyote. Long time between dreams, my friend.
I know, man. It's okay. We'll be together soon. We'll be together very soon, and we'll be hanging out and telling stories and whatnot. But
it's that time of year, man. Start heading out on the road every other weekend. There's another stop, another airport. And
I know.
A lot more people, man. It's all good things.
It is a good thing. You meet so many cool people out there too. It's like, when you and I met, and then at these cons, and everybody expects it's just, like you said, it's just paranormal, it's horror and stuff. But you meet so many cool, interesting people, and all of a sudden it brings people into your life that you never would have had in your life before.
Right.
And it makes such a positive influence on just the whole experience. So okay, you were on, like I said before, you were on Ghost Hunters International, Ghost Hunters, and have wonderful paranormal rock stars. Is what you go by in that framework.
That's not a bad title.
It's not a bad title. It's pretty cool, actually.
Well, worse.
Yeah. I always love that. And you know what? Most of the time, if somebody was called, they say, yeah, okay, I'm sure he is. But, Dustin can wear that, and it's okay. Everybody says, yeah, he's a rock star, right? It's okay. Everybody's okay with it, with Dustin being called that. So, so anyway, here you are, you're a paranormal television star. But then people start seeing, and it's sort of not as out there, not that you have to actually look for it, but all of a sudden you see out there, you having a speech, or you're having an event where people come and see you talk about being inspiring and inspiring others. Where did this come from?
It's I owe it all to MySpace, believe it or not. If everyone can remember that time before Facebook, yes. Long time ago, and it happened. I did a couple of years with Ghost Hunters, and then I left and got married and settled down, and I went back and I did the international show. And being a married guy on the other side of the world, I wanted to stay true to my marital vows, so I would just go back and I'd sit in my hotel room at night, and I was always very spiritual, quietly, so I'd listen to my Bible study podcasts and things, and Christianity is my walk. It's not for everybody, but I respect those that walk other roads. As long as it's in peace and love, I really believe that, all are one. So I'd be doing that, and then I'd be sitting there, and I'd answer fan emails and go on the show little message boards, and people would write to me, and it was so amazing to me, because I was just like, I'm just some guy that walks around in the dark, and once in a while I hear something and I may say, what was that, and turn around, but yet people connect, and people are looking for that connection. And so I had the time, and I was happy to sit and write to people and everything, and it went from, is this a picture of an orb, or is this my grandmother? And I'm like, I've never met the woman, who knows? But I'm not in the business of stepping on other people's parades, so I do the best I can to give them an honest answer, but keep them hopeful, and all of a sudden it went from that to, like love life advice and work advice. And I'm like, again, I walk around in the dark on TV. I'm your Messiah by far, but there's a connection. For some reason, people saw that. And so I started spending time just writing back to them, giving them ideas and trying to foster hope in them. And it just took off from there. And it's interesting because now we fast forward all these years later, and now I still do the paranormal talks and everything, and I still do local investigations, and I've been asked to do some other shows, but it's just not the right fit for me yet. But I'm thankful for all these opportunities, and more so the people that I've met along the way. And now I can go out and I do my paranormal lecture, but I throw some motivation stuff in there for them too, And then I do the straight up motivational lectures, and I do my Christmas lectures that have motivational twists, and I get to talk to middle schools and help out children. And I'm very thankful and proud of the work that I get to do with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And that's the one that means the most to me. And all this because I followed a passion. I followed a hobby as a kid of ghosts, of wondering what these unseen things were. And I've learned overall that it's that spiritual connection, that we're all spirits in this human life together. We're all souls going through this time together. And what a great opportunity to lift each other up and to walk through this life together. Yeah. It's been such a blessing, and I say it very thankfully and very humbly, but there's so many people that I've been able to help. And not because, and listen, I do my best. I'm not Tony Robbins, but I'm doing my best, But it works. It works for some people. There's that connection, and I'm just so happy to be a part of it. And it's my life's work. It's my passion, and it's the thing that I'm the most proud of.
Yeah. Well, there's no shame in being good at what you do. And it's not being egotistical to say, hey, I help these people. It's not. Now if you go out and put 100 different, on Facebook all over the place, I did all this stuff, and then that's one thing. But just talk to you, because then people know you can help them. And I think that's, when you and I met, I thought this dude's got something going. And, I could tell. And that's, it's kind of each other, like, okay, I think this guy does the same thing I do, kind of. And so, I wonder sometimes, because your hobby was a ghost, and you get invited on this, to be on the show. It's an international show, and all these things go on, and actually then the parent show from that. Do you ever stop and think, well, maybe these things happen as a way to get you out into the public's eye, so that this is Spirit or God's way of sticking? Okay, Dustin, this is your vehicle to get you out there into where people can see you and hear you. Do you think that might be part of the deal there?
That's actually helped me a lot to recognize my path. And for me, as a lot of people know, when I do the paranormal interviews and stuff, my story started with a shadow figure that I saw as a child. Mm-hmm. And you say shadow figure, and you get different camps of people in the paranormal, like, oh, it had to be a demon. Oh, it had to be this and that. Uh-huh. And 9 times out of 10, it's negative, and I just that's fine. But for me, it was a one-time occurrence that planted that seed in my head of wanting to know more, of being inquisitive. And because of that, I started going to libraries, and I started reading books about New England legend and folklore and native traditions and all these things. And because of that, I end up doing this TV show. And because of that show, I get to go and have this platform, and mm-hmm. I did 52 events last year, my busiest season ever. And thankfully, more people come to my table and talk to me now than the first time I met you. Yeah. And now I'm there. And when people ask me about that shadow figure, all I can say is, whatever that was, that's what got me here today. Without that, I don't go reading those books. I don't go exploring in the woods. I don't go on these TV shows. And people don't know me. And without that platform, it's a lot harder to impact other people, and there's a lot of great people out there who've never been on TV that are doing great work too, for sure. But for me, that was my leverage point. That's how I got to be, where I am. And I'm just so thankful for whatever it was and whoever sent it. And who knows, maybe it was me from the future. God, it could be possible.
You never know. So in going and traveling as much as you do, and the success that you've enjoyed from your hard work, do you think that it's the hard work too that has been able to inspire you to encourage others to do the same?
Someone told me just recently, and it really meant a lot to me. They said, I think the thing that a lot of people, and themselves included, recognize in me is that kindred spirit of, I'm just a working class guy, The reality TV shows, they help to pay the bills a little bit, and I got ahead on a truck payment or two. Fantastic, But I never quit my day job. While doing all that stuff, I would take leaves of absence. I would do whatever. I've worked in healthcare for going on 18 years this October at the same place, and much as I love doing the shows, I never felt comfortable enough risking, my family's welfare and our financial well-being to do it. Right. But the people that read my books and everything, they see the hustle that goes into it, the working the 8 to 9, 10 hours a day at the day job, and then coming home and sitting here on the computer and working on lecture ideas and working on books and doing interviews. And this thing I try to tell people the most, because it's one of my top pet peeves, is they'll ask for advice and I offer it. They're like, oh, if it was that easy. Why the heck should it be easy? If you really want it, it's going to be hard, and you got to look at it. So I think that is something that people see in me. It's like, I'm not living some millionaire lifestyle. I'm out here grinding and working every day and trying to stay healthy and trying to stay connected to my family and pursuing that passion to help others, with reckless abandon in all the free time that I have squeezed in.
Well, yeah. And sure, you're all over the place. I mean, you go out there. That's why I want to circle back to one thing really quick. You're talking about the shadow figure, and if the shadow figure doesn't appear, maybe none of this happens. Maybe you're just in healthcare or whatever. I was thinking about myself, and I had a couple. And that's spirit or God calling you. And it's just, okay, I know I need to follow this right now. And even when you're a kid, I'm like, oh, also that's really cool. I'm really interested in it. And I want to do this. And so I would say, yeah, something was sent there by your higher self later on, whatever. But with myself, my wife had never taken me to this powwow, and I had walked in this one building where they were doing a Warriors dance. I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't have gotten where I was at. And all of a sudden, oh my God, I had this big epiphany. It's like, there's another world, this spirit world here. I gotta deal with this somehow. And so I started reading all these books. And I said, I'm 35 years old when this happened. Right. It doesn't matter how old you are, whether you're a kid or you're 85. It doesn't matter. If when the calling comes, answer that call, because gosh, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, yeah, Sharla.
It's never too late. It's never too late to start a new hobby, to pick up a new thing, to try something different. And the only limitations that you have are in your mind, and the ones that I think you put on yourself. I'm no spring chicken. For me, it started with bears. Watching these bears on a live broadcast on this this group called explore.org, and it is all about helping to preserve these particular wildlife refuges, and this happened to be the bears of Katmai in Alaska, and I fell in love with these bears. I watched these bears on my second monitor while I was working for like 2 weeks, and all they would do was go to the same fishing hole every day and fish. But I was fascinated by these bears. So one day they were doing a talk with the ranger that was there, and it was on this little app called Periscope. So I thought I couldn't miss the bear interview. I mean, I was faithfully watching these bears for 2 weeks. I had to know more. So I downloaded this app, and then I was exposed to all these other things. Chad Lindbergh was one of them. Absolutely adore Chad. He's been an amazing source of inspiration for me. And, fast forward 2 years later, and here I am sitting with you guys. Those little moments, those little pivotal moments that mean so much, if you take them and embrace them, can take you anywhere you want to go.
Right. No, I totally agree. And it's really interesting, too. Both of you just mentioned about, like, your ages when that moment happened, And it's interesting because one of the lectures that I just started doing last year, is about Willy Wonka and Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Mm-hmm. And the author, Roald Dahl, was middle-aged when he first got his big break in writing, Mm-hmm. But, prior to that, like, there were other things in his life that he was working on. There were things that he's actually accredited with designing a certain type of intracranial pressure device. I think it's called the roll tiller valve or something like that, because of his son who had a certain type of issue, and he found a way to help fix that with this mechanical device. And he's in the armed forces for a while, but you say the name and people know Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Mm-hmm. But that didn't happen until about halfway through. Yeah. So, like, I do a lot of speeches with different people of different ages, and the middle schools, it's great because they're so young and they still have so much ahead of them, But the challenge is now, unfortunately, the suicide rate's as highest amongst them. Yeah. So getting them to connect to this reality, and I believe technology is a big problem for us. It's a great attribute, and it gives us incredible ways to do different things, but it also can disassociate us so easily. And I think that the kids feel that a lot, and they don't even know how to put it in words yet. But if we can get them through those tough periods, because being a kid can be very tough, like high school grades, it can be tough. Yeah. And when we were kids, like, somebody called you a name on the bus, you went home, you went out with your buddies, your friends, you forgot about it. Mm-hmm. Now it follows you. It's on Facebook. Other people pigpile on there and still make fun of you, and it breaks down people, But if we can get them through that, they've got so much time to do so much. And then on the other side, I'll go out and I love doing the library lectures throughout New England. And a lot of times you get a lot of elderly. I actually have a couple of girls. I call them the Golden Girls. They call themselves my little groupies, and they come to events. God bless them. Like, they got to be in their 70s or so, But I always tell them, like, as long as there's still breath in your lungs, there's still a chance for you to do something more, something to be remembered by. Every day, every one of us out there has an opportunity to make a difference for somebody. And it doesn't have to be a big grand scale thing, but just opportunities that present themselves if you're willing to look for it. Today I was ready to go in the gym. As I'm getting out of my truck, all of a sudden I see this SUV come barreling in, and it's just got a window about this big that's cleared off of snow on the front. What the heck's going on? This woman parks all sideways. This elderly woman that can't even reach the window, and she just has her bare hand and she's trying to clean it. So like walked over to the other side of my truck. I got my brush. I went over. I'm like, ma'am, why don't you get back inside? I'll clean it for you, and cleaned it off and just sent her on her way, But it's a little opportunity to make a difference for somebody, and I think all of us can do that. And I believe those little things really add up over time.
Yeah. Well, that's for sure. I mean, and I love what you're saying. I've got couple of older women that come to Circle, and they come every week, and they just love it. And I've had nuns come to my classes before. I've taught here. I'm teaching a class on developing your psychic potential. And I got 2 nuns sitting there, and they just love it. They love their being bad. They know what it is. A cat. We don't care. We're checking this out. I've had come to my shamanism class before. They're as curious and they just want to pick up something too, and they're open-minded, and they want to learn, and I just love people like that. And you come across these folks in your travels, and then they come all the time, and for some reason they like what you're talking about, and they show up, and you just love them to death. And I just love that stuff. I mean, I love it as much as when I can work with a young kid too. And but like what you're saying, getting those younger kids and realizing, getting them to connect with other humans in a human way rather than over Facebook or that kind of stuff, and so it makes it more real.
What do you think is, obviously social media has a huge impact on the suicide rate in that particular segment of children, but what are some of the ways that we can reach them? What are some of the ways that we can pull them out of that in ways in which you've explored and have been successful?
One of the things, and again, not to put everything on technology, but one of the things that I do with my family is at dinner time I have no tech at the table.
Right.
And it's just we're sitting down for dinner. This is our chance to talk to each other about our days and what's going on and whatever. And, and a lot of my social media stuff, like I try to put motivational stuff out of there, but I also need to do promotion stuff so people know where I'm going and events and everything. But I don't get, it's weird because it's a tool I have to use, but I don't see the full appeal of it, outside of a lot of things. But I see for some people it is their only way maybe to reach out and connect. So I think teaching children and also other adults, the ability and the skill to sit and connect with somebody and to have a conversation, I think another problem too is reality TV is it really plays to stereotypes. And I don't mean stereotypes in like a racist way, but the stereotype of people being loud and angry and yelling, and like you flick through and like the reality TV shows, like people are screaming and yelling all the time. I'm like, that's not how conflict resolution actually works. No. Working in the medical field, working in my medical office every day, I'm an office manager. I'm the COO of the company. We do facial and oral surgery. I was their anesthesia tech for years. And we'll have somebody comes up and like they forgot their insurance card or their insurance was canceled and they don't know it. 9 times out of 10, you can sit and talk to them about it and explain. But then you'll get somebody who just starts screaming and yelling. It's like, slow down. I'll take them in another room. I'm like, listen, I want to help you get what care you need, but we have to look at the problems that we have together and work on it. And you screaming at me isn't going to help us get there at all. And I think getting people to calm down a little bit. Like the TV camera favors the screw-ups.
Yeah.
The TV camera favors the person who's screaming and yelling and acting inappropriately. Right. And people at home are entertained, and then they think, I want that attention. I should act like that all the time. And it's the worst possible scenario because you go out there and I'm like, why are people acting like this? Like, what happened to just having conversation or taking time for each other? And even if you see people talking, a lot of times it's like they're acting. They're waiting for their opportunity to talk rather than listening and empathizing with the person that's speaking. The lack of empathy is really frustrating nowadays, and you see it on Facebook a lot. I use this example a lot in my lectures. You go on there and you'll see somebody and they write, oh, I had such a bad day today, I went to work and I lost my job and I came home. I don't pay my bills. And you get some people, oh, thoughts and prayers. I'm so sorry. That's horrible. And then you scroll halfway down and there's That's nothing. I lost
Yeah.
my cat died today. It's like, why the hell are we wearing badges of who had the worst day? Like, more miserable than you're miserable. That's crazy. That's not what we need to be doing. It's about lifting each other up and helping each other. But instead, it's I'm yelling louder because my life is worse. It's just so messed up.
And it's another example of that. People don't have anybody to talk to. I wouldn't think of putting something like that on Facebook. I have people in my life I can talk to about these things. I don't need to post it on Facebook and get pity. And that's what, they're just they want to draw attention. All of a sudden things get, like you said, and people yell and scream and, I can top this, no, you can't do that. And all of a sudden you have a riot going on. And especially in the paranormal field, I mean, for goodness sakes, I mean, I've never seen such bad behavior when people do that sort of thing. But again, it points to the fact, don't talk to somebody, and if you don't have anybody to talk to, then, you talk with, like somebody like Dustin or I or Sharla, that, will help you with that sort of thing, point you in the right direction. But it's so sad. I hate seeing that,
There's a weird thing, too. There's almost an addiction, I think, to that anonymous pity of strangers that people start to enjoy in a way because the focus is on them. It's a way to get people, and I'm not saying that there are some people obviously with some legit problems, of course, but I think that some people start looking for things to go online and report about this just happened. Like you go through my feed and you'll think I must live the most perfect life. Every day is sunshine and rainbows, I think the only thing I ever rant about a little bit is traffic, but even that. I was looking at clouds and listening to the Beatles. Like I try to find a positive thing to put in it,
That's exactly right.
It's but some people, everything is gloom and doom and misery, and I'm like, why don't you talk to somebody about that? Like there has to be someone that really cares for you, and if not, you need to get out there and find somebody.
Oh yeah, I mean, I post I promote my things. I promote my friends' things. I put puppies, and I put pictures of my family, and everything's lovely. Every time I put anything about my health was after I had my hip replaced. So many people, my wife would put out there, everything went fine, all that stuff, and I just thanked everybody, and left it at that, Somebody, of course, she had to take a picture of me in my walker when I was at the mall, and so, that kind of stuff. But yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's just.
I just passed some kidney stones last week. I didn't get my down and do the selfie.
See, I would have posted that.
I've had about 20 of them since I was 17, so it's such old hat by now. Like machine game.
I would have been looking for some free sympathy on that one. I'm not gonna lie. It's funny how some of those threads that you're talking about, they start off with a legitimate post, oh, what a gorgeous day, sun shining. 4 or 5 more posts down, oh, it's terrible here, there's 6 inches of snow. And before you know it, there's an argument that ensues over the quality of print of a newspaper. It's something completely unrelated. And
it's like, how did you get there? I have one that I saved because one of my ideas that I haven't fully developed yet is about like social media threads. And I have one from I think 2 years ago. I love cereal. Lucky Charms had tweeted that they were making an all marshmallow cereal, and there were like 2 or 3 people like, "Oh my God, I've always wanted this," I'm like, and then all of a sudden it was like, "With the political system in place now, why would we care about your effing marshmallows?" And I'm like, why can't you be happy for 2 minutes?
I know.
This has nothing to do with border walls or Donald Trump. It's marshmallows for breakfast.
Marshmallows.
Be happy.
They cannot. People can't say it. Some people don't like being happy, Dustin. I mean, they are so miserable, and they want to spread that misery. And it's so sad.
So what do you do about that? From both of your perspectives, what do you do about that? For those who and I'll qualify, who think they don't want to be happy.
Right. Dustin, go ahead.
Well, I always try to do my best to reply to everybody that writes to me or whatever. If somebody comes to me in person, obviously I'm going to sit there and talk to them. And I always try to, find out what the real problem is. Because sometimes we have surface issues that kind of mask what's going on inside. And it doesn't take a lot of questions, to get in there sometimes. Sometimes it does. Sometimes people bury things really deep. For a lot of people, they want to be heard. They want to tell you what's really bothering them, but just nobody will listen to them. Nobody will take the time. So I try to do that. And then I try to offer them, some advice on how to get things a little bit better. And if things are really bad, I always try to point them to the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, or, someone who's a licensed counselor, because there's only so much that I'm capable of doing. But for some people that I use this analogy a lot. I'm not your magic feather. I think about Dumbo, and I tell people, listen, I'm Timothy Mouse here, and I'm giving you this feather, and I'm telling you, like, you can fly. But at some point, you have to realize you don't have to keep grabbing onto me anymore. You can do this on your own, and you have to believe that you can do it on your own. And me being there every time something goes wrong in your day, your windshield wiper falls off, I'm becoming your life vest, and that's very dangerous.
It's very dangerous.
There was a young lady that I dated in a previous lifetime, almost now. But she was a lifeguard, and she told me the first thing they teach you in lifeguard training, at least the first thing she was taught, was that when you swim out to save somebody drowning, one of the first things you may have to do is kick them away.
Yes.
Because they're so panicked, they will grab you and bring you down with them. And so I've learned from my own self-preservation that sometimes you got to push people away a little bit and say, listen, you can fly on your own. I'm not your magic feather. And if sometimes they become abusive, sometimes they become very angry. Social media and stuff, I often, because I don't allow that type of negativity around me, so I'll often use the mute button. Unless you're very verbally abusive or threaten myself or my family, I never block people. I always believe in leaving that light on. So if they get back, they're still seeing a positive message. But I often have to tell people, listen, I'm not your magic feather. I've given you the best advice I can give you. You got to fly on your own here,
Yeah, and that's exactly right. I mean, I've been in social services for 30 years, over 30 years now, and worked with all sorts of people with mental health issues, people with sexual issues. I mean, I actually worked for several years with juvenile sex offenders. And the best thing you can do is just keep at it. And again, remind them, I'm teaching you how to do this on your own. I've carried that into whatever I do now. I will show you. I will stand there. I will show you. I will work with you. I will give you my undivided attention, and I will give you my best. And I will teach you how to work through this and where to go from here. You're not going to be by my side the whole time. That's like I do. I have a wife. I have a family. That's not how it works. And I will do my best to help you out. And for I guess I'm decent enough at that where people will do that. I can teach them. And I always tell people, like, some people need to see a therapist. For goodness, I've seen a therapist, and I'm not going to recommend something to somebody that I haven't, that I wouldn't do. I've done it. It works. I've got a guy in town who is a friend of mine who's a therapist, and he's very spiritual, and he's very religious, and he knows this stuff. And so we refer people to each other. He goes, I go see Coyote, or I go see Mike, and about this stuff. And so, yeah, it's knowing people, know where to send them, and always smile, for goodness. I go to the stores and stuff like that, and I see a cashier having a bad day. I smile and I talk to them and be real upbeat, and just carry that with you wherever you go. And that energy just flows to you anyway, because you're in a good spot. I know Dustin does. I know Sharla does it. And that energy stays with them, and they say, wow, maybe humanity doesn't suck so bad. And it just little things. It's the little things. Complimenting somebody online, and say, hey, that's really great. And people say, hey, Coyote, I'm glad you're coming to this show. I say, hey, it's gonna be great to meet you. I can't, I'm looking forward to meeting you. And I mean that totally, and I do sincerely mean that, because somebody takes the time to say, I want to talk to you and meet you. I'm flattered, like literally. And I'm like, cool, I can't wait to talk to you, and that sort of thing. Just carrying that energy with you and giving it out, whether it's over social media or on the phone or on Skype or in person.
It takes practice. I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. Like, they want to just wake up and be like, I turn my switch to happy. It's like, no, it takes a while, to smile through adversity, to smile in defiance when things are tough. Yeah. It's not easy, and it takes a mindset where you're purposely doing that every day. Yeah. And for me personally, it took a long time, and there's still days where I struggle with it, Yeah. But I find coping techniques. Like, music is my crutch. When things are bad for me, like, I play certain music, I'm like, oh, I'm finding my way back. My spiritual life, like sitting down and like meditating or praying, like just having a mindful moment. And it's just, those things help me in those moments. And but it's important for people to know it doesn't happen overnight.
No, it's hard.
I think it's like any skill that you have to develop, right? It's like a muscle that you have to build up. And for me, it starts with gratitude. And I never truly, I think, understood what deep gratitude meant until this past year. And I mean, I've been grateful for things my whole life, but to really connect and understand deep gratitude for everything around you and the people in your life, to where you can literally sit still in a moment and think, I am so grateful, so genuinely grateful for everything, even the bad stuff, because the bad stuff I learned a lesson from. It got me from point A to point B. I never would have gotten to point B had this bad thing never happened, had I not grown from it. And I think there's, in moments when we're most frustrated or we are downtrodden and on some level, to just sit for a moment and retrain your brain and think, okay, I'm having a really bad day. What's one thing I'm grateful for? And it could be something as simple, as this felt tip pen, because these pens are awesome. And there's nothing better than a good pen. And just sit and just reflect. As simple as that is, and as dumb as it sounds, it can change the whole chemistry of your body in that moment and help refocus you. Would you agree?
Totally. One of the things that I often tell people, if they reach out to me and they're in a place where they're struggling and they're spiraling, I tell them, listen, I'm going to give you some homework. And I know homework doesn't sound fun at all, but what I want you to do is, when you find yourself in that place, take out a little notebook. And I want you to start writing down things that you're grateful for, like the smell of cut grass or your favorite color. And I said, I want you to continue to work on that list until you've absolutely exhausted everything that you're grateful for, every little thing that, because I know it'll never happen.
Right.
You'll never finish that list, because once you start thinking about it, you start thinking, oh yeah, I love this, I love that. One of my sayings, I have in one of my books somewhere, is an attitude of gratitude will change your mental latitude. I really believe, like, the more you stay with it, the more that it comes, and you start thinking, wow, like, yeah, I'm so grateful for this or that. Like, I get so excited to go to Dunkin' Donuts in the morning and get my iced latte. It's like, sometimes at night I'm laying here and I'm like, what flavor will I get tomorrow? Like, it's a stupid little thing, but like, it makes me like happy, And there's I love my music, as I said, and there's an old 1940s song, and it's found its way into a Christmas song, and it talks about falling asleep, counting your blessings instead of sheep. And I think about that sometimes, like, because I know a lot of people that struggle with insomnia and everything, and sometimes my brain, I just can't shut it off because there's so much going on, and I don't want to take the Benadryl because then I'm hungover in the morning and I can't.
Yeah.
But I'll try to think of all those things I'm thankful for, and it's just so. I told my daughter, I said, listen, honey, it's very important. You always say your prayers at night, and make sure you always say the things that you're thankful for. I said, because what if you woke up tomorrow morning and that's all you had? There's those things you mentioned. She's like, well, can I say I'm thankful for everything? I was like, well, that's a great loophole. Like, for sure.
Yeah.
But just to get it trained in our brain, like we need. Because I think that we live in a society now where we want everything now, and we deserve it, and we should have it. And that's the way it should be, Like, I had a patient call me recently. They're like, new patient in the practice, I work till 5. Can you come in at 5:30 to see me? I'm like, we close at 4. But why can't you come in at 5:30 to see me? I'm like, because you're not the only patient. Like, but that everyone gets a participation trophy. Everybody's super important, and everyone should change the world so you're happy. And it's just like, it doesn't work that way. We're together, and it's okay to win, and it's okay to lose. But it's very important to know that you are a part of something bigger.
Yeah. And it's like getting people, when people will come to you, I want to walk a spiritual path, and, and how do I do this and whatnot. And like you said earlier, at first you say, well, this isn't easy. If it was easy, it would not be worth it. And it takes a while. If you can get people to hang on and stay with it, it works out. But again, like everybody wants everything to happen right now. I can go online, do this course, and I get the same thing. Well, no, you've got to learn. I mean, I spent years talking to different teachers and people, and that showed me all these things. I went through making all these mistakes, and we're talking 26 years. And I'm nowhere near perfect or done. And you never. Here's the secret, though: you're never off. You're never done. Okay, you're always working, and that's okay. That's a big part of it. But if we got to break that train of negative thoughts somehow. One thing I've worked with people that sometimes works is that they're going through a rough patch and it's legit, but it's like, wow, you must be pretty strong. What do you mean? I'm dying here. No, you never get anything you can't handle. And you know what? Spirit or God gave this to you, so you know what? When it's your turn, you're going to help the next person who went through the same awful stuff you're going through right now. Because Spirit believes in you, God believes in you, and I know you can do it too. And it brings that self-worth. Like, wow, okay, I can get through this. It works sometimes like anything else. It works sometimes it doesn't. I found that people kind of understand it better because it's life. Life is shitty sometimes,
Yeah, and it's so easy to focus on the now, and the negative side of what's going on, and you miss all the other things that happen. And so I have this one lecture I do called the Magical Mystery Box. My wife calls it my big box of crap, but I've got a big box, and
I've seen pictures of this. It's really cool.
It's a lot of fun. It came out of the old Pick a Path books from when I was a kid, the Choose Your Own Adventure book. Because as a presenter, I get bored going through PowerPoint slides. If anything, I just have bullet points and a picture, so I know what I'm supposed to talk about. But I don't want to read anything to people, But the Magic Mystery Box has different items all the time, and I don't know what people will pick out of the box for me to talk about. And I don't know if we're going to go through them all, and I throw different things in there. But I have a number 100 candle, which was a lot harder to get than I thought it would be. But I got a number 100 candle, and I have that in there, so when people pick it out, I tell them, no matter what you're going through now, think of all the things you've been through before. Your track record to this point is 100% survival rate. You've made it through everything so far. You have not failed. And I think knowing that, having that realization that, I've done all this stuff. I'm pretty badass. I'm still making it.
That's right.
That sometimes we forget how awesome we are because we get those blinders on about, I've got these bills to pay and I don't have enough money and I'm never going to make it. And you're going to make it because you always make it. And it's not easy, but it's worth it.
That's exactly right. And you got to embrace the bitter and the sweet. That's what life is. And that's what makes us stronger. That's what makes us better. That's what makes us good vessels for Spirit to work through and to do that sort of thing.
This is fun.
I'm having a great time too.
Yeah, it's great. Like-minded people talking about good, positive things. Like, we need more of this stuff.
Exactly. So, I can think back through my life and think to myself, even though I didn't know at the time, these people inspired me. And there's some people obviously did, some of my teachers, some of the books I've read and things like that. Dustin, who provided inspiration to you through the spiritual emergence of yours?
So in my personal life, there's been some really great family members. I come from a long line of hardworking patriarchs that did everything they could for their family. And my grandfather, my Papa Cheech, he didn't have a car when my family, my mom's family was younger. And he would work for a farmer's market, driving a tractor-trailer truck from Rhode Island and Providence over to New York. And he would walk from his house in Johnston, which is probably about 7 or 8 miles. He would walk to the truck and then drive the truck to New York overnight and then drive it back and then get out of the truck and walk back to his house. And then he'd sleep for a little bit, and then he'd either walk down the street and work at the mill as security, or he'd walk across the street and work as a gas station attendant. My dad worked traveling over the roads, like busting his butt, trying to make men's meat there. And then he'd come back and he'd work for the government, like doing local snowplow gigs and everything. He'd work at a bar as a bouncer, and like always working 2-3 jobs, like all of them. And all of them having, good, strong women that stood by them and took care of the kids and the family and everything. And I look at that and I'm like, that's what I'm made of, That's my meat and potatoes for sure. And I get to live with my uncle for a summer. My senior year of high school, and my parents had bought a new house, and they were, new to them. It was an older home, but they were renovating it because I couldn't even stand up on the second floor. It was so short. I was living at my uncle's house, and my girlfriend at the time was living at her aunt's house, which was like 3 blocks away, serendipitously. And her parents were building a house out in Cape Cod. And so we had this wonderful, like, romantic Greece summer of love type thing, you know? And we got to hang out, and it was so awesome. And then I got to live with my uncle that whole summer. And he worked for the government. He was a tax assessor. But he had this long, wavy gray and brown hair that he'd tie up in a ponytail when he had to go to work. And he always told me, you got to live in the gray area. Give so you can get by, but always pursue what makes you happy, you know? And he'd come home at night, man, and he'd put the radio on, he'd get that acoustic guitar out, and he'd crack a beer open, and it was amazing. And I was like, this man is finding happiness.
Living it.
Yeah.
He's living.
One of the lessons I always tell people is like, listen, there's a lot of waitresses out there dreaming of being actresses. But while you're a waitress, be the best damn waitress you can be. And if you don't like being a waitress, do some other job you like to be. Because you may never make it to Hollywood, you know? You may never win that big award, but you could work this little job, and you could perform in local theater. You could perform in kids' theater. You may want to teach theater. Find a way to use that passion and use the gifts that Spirit has given you so that you're still feeling fulfilled. Because and listen, I don't have a bad job. But I feel like a monkey when I go in and I press the buttons under the lights to make more money. And I can like, what am I doing? This is not my passion. This is not what I'm here for. But then I go out on the road on the weekends and I meet people and we embrace. And I'll never forget last year, I was up at a Kindred Spirits event for Amy Bruni, and we were up in New Hampshire, and I did my paranormal lecture, you know? And then at the end, unbeknownst to Amy and everybody else, I decided I was going to squeeze in the 5-minute version of my great emoji lecture, which is 101 emojis that play in the background while I tell a story about finding our inner happiness and our inner peace. And I got done, and like people were applauding, and it was great. And a couple of people came over to talk to me, buy a couple of books and stuff, which I'm always thankful for my readers and things. And this one young girl comes over. She's like, I came here for a paranormal weekend, and I had no idea how much I needed what you just said.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. That
is what it's about. And I'm guilty of the same thing. I've stuck things into mine, and I do it on purpose. And people, I tell them, hey, I don't care. You're going to hear it now. That's right. And it's smart. It's short, but it's, I get into it real quick and get out of it real quick. And I do it real, get all into it and stuff like that because I love it, And you're the same way. You love it, what you're doing. And people are like, whoa, And I'll have people come up to me and say, oh, that was so cool. Yeah. I pull my drum out and play and sing a song, and stuff like that. Just have a blast with it. That's and awesome. People feed off of that,
Yeah, sure.
But this is what I can. This is how I vouch for Doug. I can actually. I've seen Dustin's magic at work with people. So my wife, Julia, she goes, and she sees Dustin's going to be down at the Missouri State Pen, which is about an hour and a half from our house, and we'll go down. We got some friends of ours. And who's down there? Steve Gonsalves is down there. John Zaffis is there. Yeah. And Marion Stewart. I think that's right. And so we go down there. And so Julia makes his pie. All right. We'll make I've seen her bake pies for almost 30 years. Okay. Yeah. I have never seen a pie like this. This thing was huge. I mean, it was a giant pie. I'm like, and she had to put it in like a cake holder. It wouldn't fit in a pie holder. We'd put in a cake holder. And here we are, and it says, absolutely positively no food allowed inside the prison. While you are here, she paid no attention to that. Got to have this pie for Dustin. Boom, 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 got the pie. Gives it to him. And she's like, and so anyway, and here it is. And so Dustin gets his pie, and he's all beaming, and he gets up there at when they're doing the Q&A, and he goes, oh, this is Mrs. Coyote over here. She brought me this great pie, everything like that, and the people all looking at her and clapping and stuff like that. And that's the Dustin magic right there, and I can definitely vouch for that. And it's just because of who he is, and he talks about all these cool things and whatnot, And, of course, I started to John Zappos the next morning. I said, John, did you get any of that pie? He goes, what pie?
I'm looking out for him. He's getting older,
That's right.
Sugar levels and things. It's not healthy. I'm worried about it. I've been so very blessed to have met so many great people. It's crazy. Like, I mean, seriously, like the amount of things that get brought to my table. And like, I know you probably shouldn't eat stuff that random people bring you, but like, I know you. But yeah, just so many good people. Like, it's amazing the connections that have happened, because of one little platform that I was given. And it continues to grow. That ripple effect continues. And whatever those people are doing is continuing on, and it just makes me so very happy to do it. I finally get to do something I've always wanted to do. I was at, because I'm a fan of great classic comedians who I felt also within their comedy left something more important behind in terms of hope and happiness. Guys like George Carlin, Robin Williams, and Andy Kaufman. Like, those are my favorites. And I always felt like there were stories, there were moments in their acts where you could see they genuinely cared for their people. They weren't just there to tell jokes and make people laugh. They were there to try to enlighten and to uplift people. And Andy Kaufman had a little skit where he would close his show singing "In This Friendly, Friendly World." And he would have cookies for people and stuff. Bouncing balls so people could sing. So last year, with the good help of my friend Cody, the mad scientist Desbian, who lives up here just north of me in Massachusetts, we worked out this live video feed so that when I was up in Michigan, I could play my ukulele at the end of my set and sing "In This Friendly, Friendly World." And then my friend Cody joined me on the live feed with his guitar on the big screen. We're singing the song together. And then I did a little quick soliloquy thanking everybody. And then I had taken people's photos that had taken pictures of me over the years and my parents, I had them popping up there. And then I had the lyrics and people were singing. And like not to cry. I'm like, this is like my favorite moment.
This is epic.
That is so cool.
It has nothing to do with like ghosts or anything, but it's nothing to do with demons, but it's about spirit connection and all of us together. And I was just like, man, like if I didn't wake up that next morning, I lived a fulfilled life just right on that stage, It was so cool.
That's great. Anytime that you could move people, I think, anytime that you could move one person, two people, 500 people, it's infectious, because then they'll go on and they'll talk about that experience with somebody else. So your ability to affect those people doesn't stop in that room. It keeps going. It can go days down the road. It can continue in video. We have such a huge responsibility as just people in general, to use that power wisely and constructively, because whether you're a TV personality, a speaker, a teacher, a dentist, a bookkeeper, it doesn't matter. You still can come in contact with people, and you still have, as a human being, a tremendous amount of power to affect the people around you. And you have, what is that saying? With great power comes great responsibility. So we are all inherently, I think, responsible for each other in some way, because only we can control our attitude and what we project outward. And it's so important to make sure that when you come in contact with somebody, especially somebody who's hurting, that you do your part. And a lot of people will say, it's not my responsibility, it's not. But it is.
It's all our responsibilities.
It is.
Yeah. We're to love one another and help one another.
Human experience together.
That's right.
I know it. Dustin, we're almost at the end of the time, buddy. Is there anything you want to let us know, or how people can get a hold of you, or any particular...
Yeah, I'm pretty easy to track down. It's just, the website's just DustinPari.com. Twitter handle's Dustin Pari, and Instagram's the same. But if anybody gets a chance, I did, with the help of my friend Cody, we put together a 60 video series on YouTube called Hey Got a Minute. Each one's just a couple of minutes long, because we're busy.
And they're great. They're great. I've seen them.
Each day of the week has its own theme. We've got Melodic Monday, where I take a musical lyric and explain it in a motivational way. We've got Techno Tuesday, where I yell about how I don't like technology, but I'm using YouTube. And Wacky Wednesday and Throwback Thursday. And every day of the week is different. And they're thematic throughout that 60-day experience. And none of them have gone viral yet, surprisingly. But I keep thinking, enough people will watch them and share them, and we'll get there. I have heard from a few school teachers that have told me that they've started showing them in their classes to the kids.
That's great.
Awesome.
So I was like, that's really cool. So it's youtube.com/Dustin Pari. Just search "Hey, Got a Minute" in my name. There's 60 of them, and I'm really proud of the effort that Cody put in with me in putting these together. And leave a legacy of kindness and keep a smile on your face. That's what we're trying to do.
My favorite one is the Elvis one. You're playing Elvis now. I love it because of the message and everything, but also because your hair is actually down.
Right.
I've never seen your hair down. And it's down. He's got the Elvis glasses on and stuff, and it's really cool.
I've started wearing my Elvis glasses all the time now, out and about. Like when I go to get Dunkin' and get my coffee and everything, and people look at you, and I always smile at them, and it's great. It's just something weird to do, but I love it, man. Love it.
That is so great.
Dustin, what is one thing one exercise that somebody can do quickly at night? You listed the gratitude list, but what is something very similar to that after this program that one of our viewers could sit down and do?
So I think mindfulness is the thing that I've really been working on developing some more stuff about the most. And I have a whole lecture that I've started to put together in here and on scraps of paper all over the place about time and how we perceive time and our conceptions about time. And I think it's interesting how quickly we think everything goes by. And for sure, on a long scheme of things, we look back like, oh my God, like I see pictures of myself from, Ghost Hunters like 10, 12 years ago. I'm like, wow, like what happened, But I noticed, so quick little sidebar. My gym had a water main break. They're going to be closed for 6 months. So I had to find a new gym. So I started going to the YMCA. And at first I was a little like, I'm used to what I'm used to, and this is not it. So it takes transition, it takes time. People don't like change. I know it's one of my things I don't like. And I've started to find new things about it I really like. I see the elderly that come in, work with the young people that work there. And I see vice versa, the elderly trainers. I saw a guy today help this young kid who was using the machine completely backwards, And I see those communications and the connections in the community, and I like it. And then I found this. When I go to take my shower, right behind it, there's a sauna. And now, in the sauna, in the morning, when I go in, I take my towel and I hang it in there while I take my shower. So when I'm done, I have a nice hot towel.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm like, it's so beautiful. It's all morning, But while I go in there, I try to keep in mind like how much time I have to get to work and everything. And so while the shower is warming up, because it takes a while, there's a clock I can see there. And I never realized how long a minute really is until you're sitting there just saying, I'm going to stay in here for a minute until I go out, And sometimes I'll stop and I'll look down and I try to time it myself. And I'll look up, I'm like, it's only been like 20 seconds. I could have sworn, And I think that a nice little exercise for us is to be mindful of our time. And at the end of the day, think about all the things that you've done today. Think about the time maybe that you had wasted today. Think about things you wish you had done and didn't have time to do. And then tomorrow, make more of an effort to make better use of your time. Because none of us know exactly how much we have. But while we have it, it's important that we make the most of it. And making the most of it means being mindful, being present in the moment with the ones that we love, not sitting there across the dinner table playing a game on our phone instead of talking to someone that may not be there when we look back up. And all our time's taken away. And it's important that we're very mindful of it and thankful for it.
Beautiful. Chris,
Beautiful. Dustin, thank you so much.
If you could add one thing to that, Chris, number 2, well, how would
I don't know.
So
it was so
number
beautiful.
1, track a minute with Dustin. Be mindful of what that.
Be mindful of your breath, of your breathing, and of yourself. Calm waters. Think of cool blue and just nice deep breaths all the way down to your diaphragm, and pay attention to nothing else. Don't pay attention to your monkey mind. Don't pay attention to the other things going around you. Pay attention just to your breathing, to your breath, and let yourself drift off. That's what I like. That's what I do. I gotta shut down. Gotta shut the brain down, and that's and just kind of chill out. And that's how it works.
So give yourself a minute set a timer on your phone or your kitchen timer or whatever. Pay attention to your breath in that minute.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll add at the end of that minute, thank yourself for doing that for yourself.
I like it.
Yep.
Recipe for
thing.
success.
It's a good plan. All right. Great. Dustin, thank you so much, my friend. I
My pleasure.
couldn't ask for anybody better. And I love you, and I really appreciate you coming on.
You're most kind. Thank you both so very much for your time tonight and for having me. It's an honor for sure.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, man.
It's like the Brady Bunch. Thank you, Dustin. And
All right,
thank you guys for tuning in and listening tonight. We really appreciate you being here, and we'd love to hear more from you. So hit us up on social media. Let us know what you thought about the show.
Definitely. Glad you watched.
Thank you.
C-saucy-M, 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 yatch cow high, yatch cow high, yatch cow